Film fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Josh, your Movie Apprentice, and today I am looking at Cuckoo, directed by Tilman, starring Hunter Schafer, Dan Stevens, and Jan Bluthardt. Cuckoo follows a 17-year-old who is forced to move with her father's new family to a resort in Germany, but alas, things at this resort, after being chased by an old woman, are not all they seem. Before I get into my review, if you'd like to see me on the channel, click the like button and subscribe for more video reviews that's coming all the time. Without further ado, let's jump into the review. So Cuckoo, this might be a short review because it's one of those films that is very difficult to talk about without spoiling anything. I would strongly suggest if you are wanting to watch the movie and haven't seen it yet, do go in as blindly as humanly possible because there are so many things that happen in this movie and so many mysteries to unlock that there is an enjoyment of experiencing this film as it goes on. That being said, I'm going to say this is a film that I more admire than I enjoy, and let me explain. There are films that, on an artistic merit and a technical standpoint, are very good and you can understand what they're trying to do. But for a film that stands at an hour and 41 minutes, including credits as well, by the way, if this film was too complicated for its own good, especially for such a short runtime. Hunter Schafer is really good in the lead. I loved the emotional journey she goes through and the theme of grief that she carries throughout the film's runtime. That is a very engrossing part of the story, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like we ever truly get to know her as a character. This is a whole wild child story with the dad constantly being a bit of an arsehole towards her, putting it lightly. And it's an arc that never really gets any form of full payoff. There is a big sisterhood concept in this. There is a big theme that follows the bonding of two sisters that are from the same father but not the same mother. That feels very rushed, and I feel like the film could have devoted an extra few minutes runtime just slowly building a relationship between these two characters, because our lead goes from completely neglecting and ignoring their little sister. They legit call them annoying for the majority of the runtime and genuinely do not seem to like them at all. And then suddenly they are interacting in this cute, bonded way. And it feels like we never get to see the bridge that connects these two plot points. And the film heavily relies on that connection between the two, especially when we get into the third act. Dan Stevens is having a hell of a year. Abigail, Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, and now Cuckoo. He is a presence in this movie, and it is probably his best performance of the year. You never really know where his loyalties lie, who he's genuinely connected to versus who he is just using. There is a great presence he carries with him every time he is on screen. However, when the film starts to lean towards expository dialogue through voice recordings and exchanges of dialogues between characters, it ends up being a film that starts putting the pieces together for you in the audience, yet leaves pieces out. And there are some pieces, some characters, some story threads that are never truly explained and are discarded. There is a thing that regularly happens in this movie a good 3 or 4 times, and it's never clear how this is occurring. There is never any explanation or even a hint to why this in particular is happening when we're talking about what is going on. I will, however, say that the sound design in this, especially in those moments, is absolutely incredible. It is very eerie. There is a sound that will live rent free in my head, especially in my nightmares, for quite some time. It's a very mysterious movie, a very eerie movie, and the sound design is absolutely incredible. There's a running motif involving a answering machine. That is all I'm going to say. That is really well executed, and when it cuts between these answering messages and the visuals on screen, how we are not always given the context straight away, that is really interesting as well. But the film just feels a little bit too overstuffed. There are a lot of characters that have a different motivation in this. In most movies, you have one or two characters that have opposite perspectives and motivations, but this one gives you shades in between the two main perspectives and gives some interesting dynamics that play out. Now, whilst I can't truly buy into all the dynamics, there are a few times where there are promises being made and there are dynamics and switches. It's effectively like double agenting and triple agenting at times. It can get very convoluted and very difficult to follow and know who we truly want to root for. But there are just characters that get cast aside or completely forgotten about until a certain point, or forgotten about altogether. And whilst the different dynamics between the number of characters in this leads to a great little sequence in the final act where it's perfectly played out through the visual storytelling, it just feels like Cuckoo is something that's very overstuffed and could have done with a good 10-15 minutes more runtime just to try and flesh it out. Now, I'll admit maybe a lot of my criticisms are I didn't fully get the movie. That is a valid criticism against me. Like, if I didn't fully get the movie, I can't hate the movie. It's not like Beau was Afraid levels, where I felt the film was condescending to the audience. I feel like Cuckoo does try and give us enough puzzle pieces to put things together ourselves, but it seems to forget to include certain pieces. And without them certain pieces, it leaves the film not feeling fully satisfactory. Cuckoo gives an idea of some of it, but not all of it. And even the stuff we do understand, it feels very contrived and convoluted. There are several times the movie will end a scene and seemingly skip something because there are scenes where characters or situations will be happening and then we'll cut to the next scene and it's like that situation has never occurred, or we've just not seen how that situation ended up resolving itself, and the ending is very questionable. I can't help but wonder why it had to end in that particular way, especially with everything we had seen before. Cuckoo for me is just a film that I found interesting. I admired its technical aspects. Its sound design is phenomenal. I will say that straight up. But in terms of the narrative structure and the number of intertwining threads that never truly come together and some genuinely do unravel towards the end, Cuckoo is a film that just fell very short of all my expectations, which is a shame for a film that is promising a lot of body horror, an interesting take. I like that horror movies are taking risks this year, but a lot of them aren't really paying off at the moment. And I feel like Cuckoo could have had a little bit more for itself. Before I get into my grade, if you like seeing our channel, click the like button and subscribe for more video reviews that's coming all the time. Without further ado, let's grade this. Cuckoo, like I said, is a film that I admire more than I like. I definitely don't dislike it. It's a very enjoyable movie. It's something that I would rewatch again. And some of the performances in this, especially by Dan Stevens and Hunter Schafer, are all great. It just felt like the script was lacking something, and some dynamics and relationships between characters feel very forced or very contrived. And whilst the explanation of what is happening is somewhat clear, it doesn't feel like we truly get a full payoff to what the whole point of this movie was. It's very much felt like a Love Lies Bleeding kind of thing, where it got a little bonkers towards the end. It's hard to really grasp how the film was supposed to play out or how we were supposed to interpret it. I'm gonna have to say that for me, Cuckoo is an okay cup of tea. So, Cuckoo, have you seen it? If you have, let me know you thought down in the comments below. Let me know what your interpretations of the film were, what the ending was supposed to be about. Just generally, let's have a nice discussion about it. Scarface is a film that is worth a general pleasant chat over tea and biscuits. I think there was a lot about this film to talk about, especially from a technical standpoint. But alas, I just felt like I wanted a little bit more from the movie. But until next time, everybody, my name is Josh, I've been your Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next video.